Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use the meal scheduler. Um, Only the very basic, only the like normal operation for how to like plan, how to like create a new plan. Okay, so first of all, you need to clone the repository. Uh, which is for which you need this command. So you clone the repository. Okay, then you need to also have the database. The database is currently not in any repository, but I'm going to share it with you over Google Drive. So you need to so the meal scheduler is a HTTP server, and you need to have Bazel installed to run it, and this is the command that you need to run. Over here, the command contains the path to the SQLite database, which you presumably already have. So you press enter, and it's going to take a really long time to build initially because it has like a ton of dependencies. So I'm instead going to go to my clone of the repository, and I'm going to run it from here, because here it should hopefully start faster for me. Anyway, while it's currently fetching, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some other things that you need to do. So you need to also like before planning meals. There's two steps that you need. There's like two to three steps that you need to do. You need to. Okay, so now I have the server running. Yeah. So when the server starts, it's going to give you the address where it's running over here. It should be localhost at port 5000, and this is like the main screen of the thing. So the first thing, the first task that you might need to do is you might need to like update stocks. To do that, you just go to the address where the server is running. And the main screen should allow you to do that. So like over here, you always have like the ID of an ingredient, and you can check whether or not you have an infinite amount of it, and if you don't have an infinite amount of it, you can check how much exactly do you have of it. And like it lets you choose between one of these three units, which should hopefully cover all cases that you need. So like for example over here it says that like it plans as if we had an infinite amount of vinegar from red wine. By default, this screen doesn't show you all the ingredients that Meal Scheduler knows about. It only shows you the ingredients that we actually have in stock, and they are sorted by last update time. So like the ingredient which was updated last, the longest time ago, shows up first, and the one that was updated most recently shows up at the bottom. The reason for this heuristic is that, like, if you like presumably the things which have been updated less recently are less accurate. Like it's more likely that since we updated this thing 2 years ago, it's more likely that since 2 years ago we now have a different amount of this particular thing. So for example, here I'm going to show how to do the stock update. So for example, right now I noticed, okay, we do not currently have any beef tomatoes. So I change this to 0. I press save, and you notice that the beef tomato actually disappeared from this view. And it disappeared because this view only by default shows an ingredient if we have some amount of it registered. So I'm going to do the same thing with grilling cheese because we don't have any grilling cheese, and I don't think we have dried tomatoes either. We only have half as much penne. Okay, and we don't have any light cream. Yeah, I could go through the whole thing here, but I don't think I need to. Also then if you want to update an ingredient which is not in this list, like I don't know, let's say that you want to tell meal scheduler that we have kiwi, but the kiwi is not in this list. You can also just like type in kiwi here, and when you type in the name of an ingredient over here, it's going to pull up like all the ingredients that it knows about, whether or not we have any. So for example, like if I wanted to tell it, I don't know, if I wanted to tell it that like we have a banana, then like I see that we have like 6 bananas over here, so I typed in banana here into the search field, and I put in 6, and I put in piece, and now it knows that we have 6 bananas. And if I put 0 and save, it now knows that we don't have any bananas. Okay. So that's the first thing that you need to do. You need to update stock. So just let me add a few notes. By default, only shows ingredients. The stock screen only shows ingredients that we have a non-zero amount of. If you want to update an ingredient which isn't shown, type a part of its ID into the filter bar. Click save to save. Yeah, so like I don't know, for example, like there's also the thing that like I don't know, red onions and yellow onions count separately. So like if I want to say that we have 5 red onions, then typically the way that I would do it is I would type in red. Come on, RED. That's weird. Okay, that I don't know why did I didn't search correctly, but like if you type in onion, it will tell you, okay, it knows about like roasted onion, and it knows that like that there's spring onion and red onion and yellow onion. I don't know, like I can say for example that like we have actually fewer yellow onions than we thought. Then second thing you need to do is you need to sometimes like it has this table of meals that have been cooked in the past. Like basically it's a table where it contains the date that the meal was cooked, and the recipe ID for now. And this is there so that we don't repeat recipes. Currently, you need to update this table manually, meaning that if you want to make sure that recipes don't repeat, you have to like go to your calendar and like actually like find the event that we create, and over here each event will tell you the ID of the recipe. You can copy that and you paste that over here, and on over here you put 2022-03-27 because we cooked this minestrone on March 27th. So that's one click. That's second click. And That's third. And now it should know about the things that we cooked last. So that's the second thing that you need to do. Just like update past cooked meals with meals that were cooked since last plan. Okay, now the third thing, you need to update status of LashUp stock. So you go into the repository and you run another command. So this command actually it needs to have the credentials for LashUp. So I'm going to probably blur it out in the video if I actually like make the video public. Okay, now the credentials have been blurred out. Okay, so the things that this command takes are so login password and path to database, and additionally you need to have this other binary installed, this binary called Chrome driver. Chrome driver is it's basically an automation thing for Google Chrome. When you Google for Chrome driver, you will just like find the homepage, and you can like put in your operating system and your version of Chrome, and you just download this binary, and you need to put it over here. Okay, so now let me run this command. So what this command does is it uses the undocumented LashUp APIs. Like first it like logs in, captures the necessary cookies, and then it like for all the products that this that the meal scheduler knows about, it updates how many of them can we buy from LashUp. So for example, like if LashUp currently doesn't have, I don't know, like artichokes, then it will not try to buy artichokes. You can actually you can click around in this interface. This interface over here has, for example, like for each product over here, we keep the whole history of how much it cost in the past when we saw it, and like how much was available. Okay, now this is done, and now you can actually go and plan. So so the way that you plan is you need to have this text proto, which you just put into the meal planner as a request. So I'll give a bit of explanation of this text proto. So first of all, there is this part where basically you describe each meal that you want. You can tell it, okay, you need to like give it the actual date. When should the meal be cooked? So for example, let's say that today is Thursday, March 31st. So we're going to be cooking for April 1st and April 2nd and April 3rd. And this says that each meal will have 4 portions, and if you uncommented this part, it would mean that it's going to try to it's going to disallow anything that contains meat. Right now, I don't think we will actually ever like be able to plan any meals which contain meat, because we don't have the because like the meal scheduler doesn't know how to buy. It's not aware of meat products that you can buy from a shop, so it's not gonna be able to buy the necessary ingredients. But like maybe in the future. Then there is this max recipe type thingy. Basically, this is a protocol buffer part where you can tell it um, that you want to cook some recipe at most an amount of times. So this says that any recipe which contains the name fine Asiatic tofu will not be cooked at all. And it will not be cooked at all because like there is also a max amount field in this proto, and if it's unspecified or 0, that means that just like this recipe will never be cooked. You can see this whole block over here where basically I tell it, okay, like don't cook more than 1 curry per week, don't cook more than 2 risottos per week, don't cook more than 2 things with halloumi per week, because sometimes it would other like there's several recipes in the database which are copied there several times. Like the typical one is gnocchi with creamy spinach tomato sauce, because there's like 5 different copies of it that they have in HelloFresh, and like this means that like if you just want to basically ban a recipe from being planned in the plan, you just like put in one of these things, one of these max recipe types. Then another thing which you can do is you can tell it that it has to use some ingredient, at least in a non-zero amount. We're not going to do that right now. Then you can tell it how long to plan at most. This is a field where you tell it like since when it should avoid to repeat recipes. So this means that it will avoid this means that it is not allowed to repeat any recipes since September 1st, 2021. Then by default it will try to buy it will try to like also plan for how to buy the ingredients from Le Shop, which means that if Le Shop doesn't have an ingredient, it will be unable to actually buy it. It will not be able to plan any recipe which uses an ingredient that Le Shop doesn't have, and that like we don't know about. You can override this. You can if you put 10 over here, at max edit ingredients, that tells it that hey, I am allowing you to pretend that you can buy up to 10 ingredients from some like source that you don't know about. And you can, and if this number is more than 0 over here, you can tell it which ingredients it should still consider as not buyable. So for example, over here I could tell it like you can buy up to 5 unknown ingredients that you don't know how to buy, but you cannot buy chili noodles. Okay, so I take this protocol buffer and I paste it over here in like at the if you go to the home page, at the very bottom there is this text area where you paste in this protocol buffer and you click this button. Then you're going to see a ton of things happening in logs, and you're going to wait a couple of minutes because of how the planner is inefficient. Maybe I can also comment a little bit on this. So there's a couple of things which it like prints out over here, which are sometimes useful to do something about. Like for example, over here there's this log line which says discarding recipe pasta provençal made blah 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 because of unconvertible amount of pecorino cheese due to no conversion from unknown unit to gram. What that means is that like it has this recipe called pasta provençal blah blah blah, and the recipe, if you look at it, the recipe uses some amount of pecorino cheese, but we don't know how much exactly. Like like we were not able to scrape it out of the recipe. If I open the recipe on HelloFresh, let's see what does it actually say. Yeah, like here it just says, oh, you need to like use a unit of pecorino cheese. Well, thank you very much. That's very useful to know that I need to use a unit. Another thing which can happen is, I don't know, for example, yeah, also the same recipe got actually discarded due to multiple reasons. Like it got discarded because, oh, I cannot convert from a piece of chicken breast to grams. I cannot convert from pecorino cheese from unknown units, and I cannot convert a piece of uh, poultry stock to milliliters. Um, there's a couple of ideas that I had about how to maybe make this a little bit more resilient. Anyway, looks like we... Okay, so over here it said end of solution with 16 bot products, so that means that at least it will find us some plan. We might need to, like, when we look at the plan, we might need to iterate on it a bit, but we will at least like not fail completely. Like for example, one thing which you could do, if you want to have a bit more recipes that you are able to cook, then one thing which you could do is you could tell it, okay, if the meal scheduler knows that you have an infinite amount of some ingredient, for example, like if you have an infinite amount of sugar, then it will not even try to like plan for obtaining sugar for recipes. Like it will just like assume that any recipe which contains sugar, we don't have to care about the sugar part. So for example, if you see that like there's a lot of recipes where like the recipe says, oh, I need flour, and but like we cannot plan the recipe because the recipe doesn't specify the amount of flour. One thing that you could do in that case is you could go and just like mark flour as, oh, we have an infinite amount of flour, and that means that like it will also plan recipes which have flour, and you just need to like make sure that you actually do have enough of it. Then like another thing which I can comment on is so there's also like two repositories. There's the Dustin Space repository, and the Dustin Space repository is the one which contains our like specific code which does the HelloFresh scraping and the shop. And that's those two things are basically available under these like two buttons. Like you can this is the little interface where you can like restart the HelloFresh scraping if you want to, for example. And then there's this other repository, the meal scheduler repository. That's the like generic one which contains which like should be a repository where we probably won't get taken down by having it published, but on the other hand, it doesn't have all the useful integrations. Okay, so we just got planned. So it finished planning. So over here we have the plan, and let's go through it. So first there is this ICS calendar file. You can click it, it will get downloaded, and then you can go to Google Calendar. You go to settings and sharing here, import and export. You select the calendar file and you import it into the proper calendar. And then you go back, and now we have these 3 new events, and you can like move them around, and the events contain like a link to the URL with the recipe and stuff like that. Then you can delete the plan. If you're not happy with the plan, don't want to keep it around, you can delete it. And it will also like show you over here the original request that you sent it, and you can press the button to create the plan again. Then over here it shows the actual meals that it selected, and like if you click on that, it will take you to this to like our little like pages for the meals, and then this table tells you about all the things that the plan asks for that that we have in our managed ingredients. So for example, here it says that the plan asks for 100 grams of breadcrumbs, and you need to go through these and make sure that you need to make sure that the stock is up to date for these. So like for example over here, if the recipe asks for 1 lemon, you need to check that we at least have 1 lemon, and like if we don't, you need to go back to the stock and you need to say, oh okay, lemon, let me actually go and check whether we have lemon. Yeah, so we actually have 3 lemons and 3 limes. So I'm gonna update this. And like as you're going through this table and you're checking it, if it comes to be that there's some ingredient that the plan needs but that we don't have, then you need to replan. So for example over here the plan asks for floury potatoes, but we actually do not have potatoes right now. So I need to go to potato and I need to set it to 0 and save. And now also it since I probably sent the plan out with, yeah, this is an example of where it like asks for using ingredients that it doesn't actually know how to buy. So for example here it says, oh like I want to use black caraway, Hello Mexico spice, chicken fillet, but I don't know how to buy those. So if I change this to 0, it should actually only try to plan things that it can buy. Then the last table, actually there's these stickers. You just like open this and you print it, and it should work on the sticker paper. And then there is this table which contains all the things that the plan wants you to buy. So basically you need to click on this shop link always, and like on each shop page you just add the required amount into the shopping cart, and you maybe apply a little bit of like common sense. So now I'm going to delete this plan and I'm going to replan because this plan A uses ingredients which we can't actually obtain easily, and B, it was planned with the assumption that we have potatoes which we don't. So now I click the button and we wait another 5 minutes. If you get unlucky, what can happen is that this planner will actually not be able to find any solution, which like which sometimes mean that there is a bug. Sometimes it means that you just like need to loosen up the conditions a bit. I unfortunately don't have like a really great time of debugging what exactly is going on. Alternatively, like I don't know, like for example I noticed that the recipe that the plan that we got previously, like it used chicken fillet, which we might actually be very very easily able to obtain. So a thing which you could say is like, I actually will allow an edit ingredient, but like over here you would list all the ingredients that you cannot obtain. For example, like some spice mixes which we cannot easily buy. This is not a great solution. Like it would be better if I actually like had this like in a more user-friendly way, where you could say, oh, you are allowed to pretend that you can buy like chicken fillet, but nothing else. Unfortunately, right now it's only a black listing and not a white listing. And it looks like we are happy and we are going to get another plan. Yeah, like probably the most annoying thing about the meal scheduler is how long this planning takes. And we've already talked a bit about that. No idea how to fix it easily. Except just like play with the representation. While I'm waiting, I can also talk a bit about that. So like if you go to meal scheduler and the plan subfolder and the managing subfolder of that, there's this like 200 line file which basically explains the general form of the planning problem, and it's encoded in this language called managing. So like for example, I don't know, like here I say, oh, like there is an array indexed by recipe and ingredient, and for each recipe and ingredient we have a amount that the given recipe uses of that ingredient. And then like there's all of these constraint which tells you, I don't know, like for example this constraint tells you that like at every time step of the plan, for every ingredient, you cannot ever have negative amount of that ingredient in stock. Or like if an ingredient is marked as an ingredient that we are required to use, then the total then like the total amount of that ingredient that we use is greater than 0. I suspect that probably like this is the part where you would want to like figure out how to better encode the problem, how to like better interact with the solver. And like maybe as a little bit more of a code walkthrough, basically like the actual parts which like render HTML and like which do this little front end are in the front end directory. So like if you open frontend.py, it's just like this huge a huge web application where basically like you have each of these like routes, which is like typically each of them is very simple, and it's just like, oh, like if you get a post request over here, then remove this thing from the database. It uses Flask. One thing which you might want to do if you're feeling adventurous would be, for example, like making this what you call it, like splitting this up, or like writing more tasks, or like making this more beautiful. So what we have, we just, so like this is another example, like it again generated this like gnocchi in creminger tomatensoße mit spinat, and generated a risotto with saffron, which we just had, I don't know, like maybe a week or two ago. So I am going to exercise judgment, and I'm going to change the plan request to not allow that. So we don't want anything with saffron, and we don't want anything with gnocchi. So more waiting. Yeah, like if this iterative process of, oh, I'm going to generate a plan, and then I'm going to wait until it's until it's planned, and then I'm going to maybe iterate. That's super annoying. Maybe like another thing which I can talk about is, so we have this database of products, like for every for a bunch of products, we know that like Le Shop sells this product, and when we buy the product, that product provides this amount of this ingredient, and when you like insert this mapping between Le Shop product and ingredients into the database, then then like the Leshop scraping logic can on its own take care of like figuring out, oh, is it available, like for how much is it available. Then there's this big ingredients table where like for each ingredient it will tell you how many recipes use that ingredient. If you open, like, I don't know, if I open this like burger bun ingredient, it can tell me, oh, like there's whatever, there's this like 9 or something recipes which use that particular ingredient. Also, ingredients like onions have the thing where like you can have a generic onion, you can have red onion, you can have yellow onion, and if a recipe doesn't specify what type of onion it wants, then it can be any onion. Also, there's this like thing which basically runs a bunch of checks over the database. Like, it will generate this huge report where the report will tell you, oh, like all the things where we don't know how to buy a given ingredient or something. This is a slight bug that I should fix at some point. I'm thinking maybe what I'll do is I'll just like put this whole video up on GitLab without any censoring, and instead of like filtering out the parts where I actually type in the passwords, I'm just going to like reset the credentials. That's gonna be easier. So I hope your day is going well, future Lars. By which I mean this might be like future Lars in like 5 minutes from now, or it might be future Lars in like 5 years from now, if Meal Scheduler is super useful. So I hope your day is going well. I hope you're not having to wait on some stupid process which takes like 5 minutes when it should probably be able to be done in like a second. Also, there's this fancy logic inside the meal scheduler which is about how to convert between units. Like for example over here, like when a recipe tells you that it wants 1 bell pepper, then we know that that's roughly similar to like 119 grams of bell peppers, and that's needed because, for example, like Leshop will tell you, oh, like you can order half a kilo of paprika, but the recipe will tell you I need 3 pieces of paprika, and it's hard to like this is the logic which tries to bridge between those two. Okay, so what do we have? We need parmesan. I need to check the amount of parmesan that we have. I need to check the bulgur. Spaghetti we have. Do we have polenta? I don't know if we have polenta. Well, whatever. Like, I think I can basically asynchronously do this. I don't think I need to go through myself actually checking this. But on the other hand, I need to do it anyway and it won't hurt. Okay, I don't think we actually have parmesan, or we only have like a small amount of parmesan. So I'm going to put in whatever, like 40. And I need to check whether we have bulgur. Okay. So I think we have no bulgur. So this is a 0. I didn't see any polenta either. Carrots we still have some, but not this much. Okay. Now if I were lazy, I could just like manually adjust for the changes that I made, but for pedagogical reasons I'm just going to probably replan. And it's gonna be another couple minutes. It has come to this. Oh, actually, right, I already imported the recipes from some previous thing into the calendar, and we don't want that because actually we're going to be cooking something else. One obvious easy way you could make this faster is you could basically just tell the planner to not even try to do any optimization. Like at the very end, you you tell the planner like the CSP solver to try to minimize the amount of products that are bought. But if you didn't care about trying to optimize this, you could also just say like self satisfy over here. I believe that that's the right syntax. It might not be the right syntax, but that's what I think it's the right syntax, and that way it should just like stop planning when it finds any kind of satisfying solution, which means that it like the hope is that eventually with some optimizations we would be able to like run this fast enough that it would actually be able to like generate multiple different plans, and it would like tell you, oh, whatever, like I'm going to give you this like other plan because this plan actually is like cheaper or something, or like has something else optimized. But right now basically like we rarely ever generate more than a single plan. Okay. Yeah. So now what happened is just it told us, okay, you're going to need to buy polenta and you're going to need to buy bulgur, and that's okay. We can do that. So now now we're going to go to less shop and we're going to individually add all of these things. This could be totally automated, but I have not yet done that. I haven't yet figured out how to exactly use their, what you call it, I haven't exactly yet figured out their API for adding stuff into the basket. So actually we only need 300 milliliters of full cream, we don't need 500, so I'm going to look for whether there is some smaller package of full cream. Yeah, there is. Let's buy this one instead. Grilling cheese, broccoli, beef tomato. parsley, chives, and zucchini. Okay, now we have everything in the shop, what you call it, and then you download. Then we can download the calendar again. Go to Google Calendar and import and whatever, and here we go. And we could also go and print the stickers. Anyway, now we are done.